Hit record.
All right, I'm going to call the Community Development Authority meeting for Cross Plains, July 25th, 2023. The order, roll call.
All right, Commissioner Franzen,
Here.
Commissioner Zander,
Here.
Commissioner Pitt,
Here.
and Commissioner Kretz,
Here.
and Village President Langfeld.
Here. Is there anybody on
Nope.
comment? All right. So we'll go to general business. I would like to move 1 and 2 around. Technically, by state statute, our first meeting, we should declare the officers for a year. So do I have a motion to switch 1 and 2 around? So moved. Second. All right, I have a motion and a second to move item 1 and item 2 around in general business. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Same. So appointment, we'll start with chairperson. I've talked to Judy, she's willing to do it. She couldn't make it today. I think she would, since she's in the banking area and this is mostly finance. I would nominate Judy as chairperson. Are there any other nominations? Call the question. All right. All in favor of Judy being chairperson, say aye. Aye. All
Aye.
same. All right, we'll go to secretary and executive director. I will nominate Brian for that position. Any other nominations? Call the question. All right, all in favor of having Brian as secretary / executive director, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Same, so moved. Last one that's not on here is vice chair. I'll nominate Timmons to be vice chairperson. Any other nominations? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. So moved. Your meeting. Just like that. You see how sweet that was?
Great transition. Yeah.
I heard last night that that's gonna be, but I didn't really. Moving down to
We gotta go up to 1.
back up to 1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the meeting order.
No, I'm sorry.
General business.
General business.
Yep.
Yeah, the one we switched
Yeah,
around.
round 3. Okay, discussion on the CDA overview and goals.
Okay, I'll take that. So basically, just to bring everyone up to speed on the concept of the Community Development Authority. So in my discussions with another outside entities and administrators, I was referred to the community facilities loan through the USDA as a potential financing option for this project. And dealing with and speaking with an administrator in particular who had experience working with this project, he referred me to considering creating a community development authority within Cross Plains as a way to utilize a longer term financing. Most loans only would be for 20-year terms for public facilities or public entities. By going to a nonprofit community development authority, it would open the door to a potential 40-year loan for the village. So this is the first steps in this process. As you'll see later on the agenda here, we are going to be doing a blight finding on the property that the village purchased at 1601 Bourbon Road. So tonight's goal is to get the ball rolling on that and to basically then authorize me to start the process in working with the USDA on that loan. Okay. Any questions?
And just to clarify, wasn't there another municipality that did something parallel or similar to this with the Community Development Authority, right? Wasn't there?
Correct.
A bunch of them.
Many,
We
yeah.
checked in with Roqua, Baraboo, Windsor, all of them.
Just so
have-
everybody's
Yeah.
clear and comfortable and knows that this is
Correct. The
something we're not
administrator,
pioneering.
yeah, the former
No.
administrator is.
We're probably way behind.
Yeah, correct.
Yep, okay.
Okay, anything else for him?
That's, unless there's any other questions, that's kind of my quick summary of where we are at.
And then you want to talk a little bit more about the public hearing for the blight line?
Sure. So one of the components of the application for the USDA loan is that any project that is going to be utilizing that loan must have a blight determination done on its property in order to qualify for the loan. So the Village Hall dedicated spot on Bourbon Road is going to serve as that location. We've spoken with our village engineer, Town and Country Engineering, and I'll just bring the page down here so you can see this notice. But Brian Berquist, put together a blighted property assessment. So the goal here today, we will be working on doing a public hearing to be held at next month's CDA meeting. I would get the notice put out in the papers regarding the blight determination for the public hearing. And then we can discuss that, see if there's any public feedback, and then make a recommendation to the board following that public hearing to recommend a blighted property determination be made on the 1601 Bourbon Road site.
Didn't we do that already? What did we do last night?
That last night waived the requirement that we had to send a notice to
Okay.
ourselves
Okay,
as the owners of that
All right.
property that we were going to do this.
gotcha.
Who specifically makes the determination? Because in Brian's letter here, it says that it meets requirements and statutes, state statutes for a blighted property already.
The village board will ultimately make the determination of the blighted property based upon the recommendation from the CDA to them that the property is blighted. And the public hearing, we get that feedback and then make that recommendation.
So what are the key elements for being considered blighted?
Let me grab my notes on that. There was a kind of lengthy determination here.
Yeah, it's very, very wide, very broad.
Yeah, okay. Blighted property definition. A blighted property means any property within a city, whether residential, non-residential, which by reason of dilapidation, deterioration, age, or obsolescence, inadequate provisions, ventilation, light, air, sanitation, high density of population and overcrowding, or existence of conditions which endanger life, property, and other causes, or such a combination of factors to health. There's so many different lists here, so essentially, let me see if I can summarize here this long paragraph.
You can look at the statute. It's
Yeah,
I'll tell you from a layperson's, my idea of blighted area is very different than, but we were on a conference call with attorneys that do this all the time. And they thought it was no problem. Our engineers, no problem. I mean, no one batted an eye. So I'm somewhat comfortable, even though, it's a vacant lot. I mean, but there's this whole thing of it's a vacant lot in the village, so there's this whole thing of making it useful.
There's been no continuity of development along that corridor.
Right.
and that's the main goal, is to try to promote revitalization.
That corridor has suffered from poor planning and revision over the years.
We're getting there. You got the Enders building, that's nice, and the fire station. We get there.
I think this would be a huge.
Yeah. One apartment buildings across the street, the big park. It's getting there, but you just gotta do it piece by piece.
Well, and I don't know why Bain would continue to be in.
No, he's actually, he's mentioned a couple times, he would sell for sure. His biggest problem is where does he go? That's always been the whole thing.
Which location were we?
Payment,
Oh.
the one right next to
Yes,
us there.
Yeah, of course.
I
So,
don't know whether there's something up to the.
well, like I say, that was part of the thing that he said, if I had a place to go with this, I'd be selling in a heartbeat. All right,
Okay, thanks for.
Mhm.
so we're scheduled, so you're scheduling a public hearing for the 22nd, right?
22nd, yep, same date as this meeting, fourth Tuesday of the month. So that's when that falls in August. We'll reconvene. Hold the public hearing and then make a recommendation of the village board to accept the blight determination.
So we have the public hearing, and we have our meeting after that.
As part of the same, yeah, we would open a public hearing at the meeting and then close it. Yeah.
Do you need a approval on the August 22nd date?
Approval, excuse me?
You need our approval for the August 22nd date?
Yes, yeah, if we could just do a quick approval vote. Yep,
And that, what day of the week is the 22nd?
that's a Tuesday, fourth Tuesday, yep.
Right, I'll make a motion to have a public hearing for the blight finding at our August 22nd meeting.
What time is it?
We'll do it probably 6:05 maybe.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. We're down to number 4. Authorize the executive director, secretary to negotiate with USDA with respect to financing of the new Village Hall police station.
I'll make a motion to look at that exact language. Authorize the executive director, secretary to negotiate USDA with respect to financing the Village Hall Police Station.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Question I have is, what comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question.
So essentially, the process of starting the USDA loan won't occur until the beginning stages of 2024. We'll need to have an architect hired, and one of the components for the application for the loan is we need to have an architectural concept plan submitted. So there's steps still involved in that are going to be commencing with the beginning stages of 2024. But at least for this, I can start to talk to the individual about setting up the paperwork and getting the process at least started and started exchanging some of the documents needed for that loan process.
So at some point, there's gonna be some kind of a monetary cap established versus an open checkbook.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to put in for an exact loan amount, but right now, with some of the paperwork is one, to see if they want to make sure the village can afford it, right? So there's a lot of paperwork we gotta submit to show what our financial situation is.
And where is the approximate value of this project?
Well, we take the loan, if we try to recover everything, we are probably would be around 5.5 to 6 million. We've spent 400,000 on the lot. And we have in the budget for 450,000 for the architect for next year. And then we think it may be 4.5 million for construction. That may go up, but that's where we're at.
It's about $5 million project.
Huh? Yeah, 55 to 6 million.
We have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. And then the last thing that we have on the agenda here is discussion on the Village Hall police station timeline and lease plan.
Well, we have the architect and the SIP. So my feeling is, and we have some draft RFPs that we'll put together. So as soon as the SIP is approved, my recommendation is we send out RFPs, and then we interview and hire hopefully someone in January, February, the architects, get them going on it. Part of the process for the architects will have 2 community meetings, and I would hope we put in at least 2 cost estimates within that. Because then that will give us what Ryan will need to move forward in the whole financing of it. And then we would try to get the rest of the money right away in 2025 and start building in 2025. And it'd be nice to close everything out by the end of 2025.
Jay, will we know enough, like when we get to actually hiring an architect, I think it's gonna be very important to have a pretty tight leash on our budget at that point. So let's just say if we conduct interviews in January, February, and we're looking that if we put a date of April 1 to try and lock in with an architect, we should know, will we have enough information by that time frame? I think it's just being in the business. I know that that's one of our first questions is what do you want to spend before we started this?
Right, I think we kind of, and it's a little different on the public sector, what
Yeah.
we want is the key is the programming, and I think I have brought it to staff numerous times. We're looking at about a 15,000 square
Yes.
building, right? So that's the starting point right there. We have a feasibility and programming study from 2013, so the numbers are not good, but you can go down and look at what all needs to go into a cost of that. So I think we'll be able to put some pretty good numbers
I mean, give or
together.
take, just.
Yeah, I
that's
think
to be-
we're-
To give them good direction right out of the chute.
And you may, if you want, obviously the interest rates are really high right now, so
Yeah.
that's a negative. But we should be compensated with that with the USDA. I think they're sitting about 4% now,
Roughly, yeah.
so it's about half of what the rate's out there. God, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, I've talked with some developers and builders, and it seems like they're pretty well scheduled out. They have business in 2024, but they're getting very little to nothing in 2025. And their feeling is labor rates and materials might be coming down. I'm hoping we get like Middleton, when they did theirs, they were looking at a $16 million project, but it was right when the Great Recession hit. They built that for 12 million because a lot of people just wanted to keep their people working. So very little profit.
Yeah.
I don't wish that upon anybody, but I'm hoping there's some correction in the market that the numbers that we're using are now probably 14 months old. I contacted the architects that built the police station because they do a lot of public buildings.
Yeah.
And I just asked them what the rates were going, and I described what we were looking to do, so. I think I don't know, we could be a little short on that 4.5. I'm not gonna promise anything right now. I think next year will be a lot closer. And I think we'll have to do that, like you say, for the architect. Yeah.
Well, the soil and that floodplain over there, does that allow for?
Yes, yeah, we've done all that studies. Those studies have been done. We're good there.
So is the 15,000 square feet part of the, based on part of that, or is it 15,000 all?
We need 15,000 square feet of usable space. So that would be part of it, because like here, storage room, it would take up that kind of function. Yeah, we haven't really worked that totally out, how it would lay out. I think there's a lot of ideas. We haven't gotten to that, and I think that'll be probably one of the first steps for the architects, because that's their business. I think we're good at the square footage to give them that, and then even from this 2013, they have kind of the needs for each area, and obviously staff has been given the heads up that they need to look at that. But, the architects have, they're the experts, and they know how to do it. We're gonna reduce as many hallways as we can, and, some of these places you go in, the lobby is, 800 square feet. We're not gonna do that. We need it to be used.
But-
Yeah, oh, of course. More than,
Oh.
than 150 square feet, yeah. But I don't think we're quite there yet. And I guess it's gonna really determine, you know, a lot of that is what kind of money you wanna stick into the inside really and the outside, like, you know, carpet is much cheaper, but if you want something to last, you use the rubber floors, you know, but that's 2.5 times more, but it lasts 3-4 times as long. So those decisions haven't been made, and that's why, at least for Midtown, we did 3 cost estimates. I thought that was a little much, but doing 2, you put in what you want, see what it is. They break it out so much you can, and they give you ideas of how to bring it down to what you can afford.
Well, I think the key is gonna be usable and flexible.
Yeah. Yeah,
You don't wanna pigeon, I mean, you wanna be pigeon a hole into a room this size, you wanna be able to blow out the wall next door so that you can utilize the space next door just by how they're.
yeah, no, you're absolutely correct on that. So that's kind of the timeline. We're getting near the end.
And I don't wanna get into all the nitty details, but, you gotta make definitely sure that, parking is available.
There's not gonna be a problem with parking because we're doing an extended parking lot, because that's part of the economic development part of it. We're having bathrooms on the outside for the trails, and then the parking lot, I'm hoping we're gonna be able to get at least 100 stalls in there. And if we were building just Village Hall, we'd probably be around 40 or 50. So.
Okay. Any further questions?
So we'll have to figure out the timeline and.
That's basic timeline, I guess, would be the architects next year, construction in 2025. That's the timeline right now. We've really checked off a lot. Now, obviously,
Will start
this,
2024.
the USDA will follow in with that. You don't get, unfortunately, we'll have to do a short-term loan because they only pay once you've closed out. So, and we gotta be really, really careful about that because that's where Baroka got screwed. They ended up having a tornado room because FEMA paid for 85% of it or something like that. But they put the wrong windows in. So they couldn't close the contract. So now they've paid an extra 70,000 in interest. Because they can't close it out until everything's totally done. So that's the caution that I do. We've got to, whoever does this, we have to make sure they have everything in place. That needs to be in place for us to close, and we just have to keep a close eye on every one of the steps that they do to make sure. We've got to really make sure our I's are dotted, T's are crossed, because that's the only negative thing. But that's
Who's responsible for the wrong windows?
But it's either gonna be Brian or me. I'm gonna overview this project. You can talk to the person on Midtown. The guy, the superintendent that's out there, he says, I've done hundreds of these and you're the first person that has spent so much time out here. And I was out there at least 3 times a week.
What isn't that in the building specs?
Huh?
Should have been.
Yeah, it's in the building specs, but someone's gotta catch that they didn't. Just like I noticed they had put a window, a light over one of my valves. I said, that can't be, move the valve over or move the window. I'm not gonna take out a light to get to a valve. You know what I mean? I mean, you just gotta do that. And I looked over the books, I don't know, the blueprints, whatever, where you have electric, plumbing, and we just have to make sure they meet, that they're doing it right.
Ultimately, it falls on the general contractor. That's who would be responsible.
Yeah,
Making sure that they're done per spec, and if the architect's spec them wrong, then.
oh yeah, that's a different thing. No, this was done by the construction guy. They ordered the wrong window, or they put the wrong window.
I mean, it should be covered, prepared no mission for the contractor.
Yeah, but the problem, they are, I mean, the village isn't getting charged for the windows, but you can't dump the loan, the interest payment. Because they have nothing to do with closing, the village could close, but you don't want You know, the attorney said, don't close until you got everything that you need.
Yeah.
Cause once you close, you're saying everything's good. So we just got, that's just, you know, one of those things you just gotta watch out for.
Okay, any additional business? There are a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, nicely done. Thank you, everybody.
Nice work, Jim.
Thank you, everyone.
I didn't do that. Step in the.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
The next meeting will be really just the public. hearing
Yeah, it'll be a
and
public hearing,
moving
quick and close.
Yeah.
Do we need for that meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
we will.
need.